You know that feeling, right? You're watching a show and you see the same commercial 3, 4, maybe even 5 times in a single break. And you just start to wonder, does this actually work? Or does it just make you want to find your remote and chuck it at the TV? Well, today we're going to look at the actual science behind why advertisers are so obsessed with repetition and find out if that strategy really pays off or if it's just annoying all of us for no reason. All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll talk about that feeling of advertising overload we all have. Then we'll get into the 2 main strategies advertisers lean on. After that, we'll see how a major study put those strategies to the test, what the surprising results were, and finally, what it all means for the future of ads. So yeah, let's kick things off with that feeling, that sense that we are just swimming in advertisements. It is such a universal experience, isn't it? That weird sense of déjà vu, but for a car commercial or a fast food ad. You're not imagining it. We are absolutely bombarded every single day, and that has a very real effect on how we react. And look, this isn't just a feeling. The research backs this up completely. We are exposed to so many marketing messages that our brains, they've literally put up a shield. We just naturally develop a sense of disinterest, a kind of resistance, just to deal with all the noise. And that is the huge challenge that every single advertiser is trying to figure out. So how do they try to get past that shield? Well, for a long time, their playbook has basically come down to 2 major strategies. The first strategy is just brute force, repetition. It's exactly what it sounds like, showing you the very same ad again and again and again during one show. The second one is a bit more clever. It's context. This is when an advertiser pays a ton of money to stick their ad right in the middle of a show they know you absolutely love, hoping that your good feelings for the show will kind of splash onto their product. But what's really interesting here is that this is not some new debate. Nope. For decades, people in advertising have been arguing about this. On one side, you've got the minimalists who say, hey, 1 time is enough. And on the other, you have the repetitionists who argue you've got to hammer that message home for it to work. This study we're looking at, it finally put that old argument to the test. So let's get into it. How exactly did researchers test these 2 big ideas with actual real-life people? And we should be clear, this was not some small weekend survey. Nope, they tracked over 1,000 people, 1,039 to be exact, for a full year. That gives them a really solid, long-term picture of how we all watch TV. The setup itself was pretty straightforward. They went to people in India's national capital region and just asked them about their reactions to ads for normal, everyday products you'd see on TV. The big questions were, do these ads actually get your attention? And more importantly, do they make you want to go out and buy anything? Okay, this brings us to the really juicy part, the results. And they might genuinely surprise you because they kind of fly in the face of what so many advertisers have believed for so long. This is the million-dollar question, right? I mean, after all that money, all that effort spent on repetition and getting the ad in just the right show, does any of it actually work? Well, when it comes to repetitive ads, the answer from viewers was a loud and clear no. A huge majority, we're talking 62% of people, said that seeing the same ad over and over doesn't build interest. It just creates frustration, annoyance. And what about those contextual ads, the ones they put in your favorite shows? It's the same story. A staggering 77% of viewers say they don't watch them. They change the channel, they get up and grab a snack, they do literally anything to avoid the ad. That expensive, premium ad placement? Totally wasted. And here is the absolute most important takeaway. The effect wasn't just 0, it was actively negative. The more people saw these kinds of ads, the less likely they were to want to buy the product. It actually pushed them away. Okay, so we know what happens. Our interest just tanks. But why? Why does this happen? Well, the answer comes down to a really important psychological idea. It's called the wear-out effect. And it's that exact tipping point where an ad crosses a line, it stops being new or helpful and just becomes annoying. It's the moment where more is definitely not better and in fact becomes much, much worse. Think about it like a curve, kind of like a hill. The first time you see an ad, okay, it's new, it builds some familiarity. That's the first stage.
Then after a few more times, it might actually have a positive effect. You're at the top of the hill. But pretty soon, you hit that peak, and every single time you see it after that, you're just going down the other side right into wear out and total frustration.
So where does that leave us? What does all this really mean for the ads we see every single day? And for the companies spending millions and millions of dollars to put them in front of us? You know, when you just boil it all down, the conclusion is pretty simple. Our gut feeling is right on the money. We actively tune out and avoid ads that are too frequent or that interrupt us. Trying to force it down our throats doesn't create customers, it actually creates negative feelings. The big one is this: more advertising does not automatically mean more sales. And it really suggests that a whole lot of that ad money is just getting thrown away. So this leaves us with a final, really important question to think about. If the old playbook of just hammering us with the same ad over and over is broken, advertisers are going to have to get a whole lot smarter. The real challenge for them isn't just about how to reach us anymore. It's about how to do it in a way that we might actually care about or even welcome. What do you think that's going to look like?